Welcome back, everybody, to the Marketing Rules podcast. It's my absolute pleasure to have Matt Comer from Sourceflow. Matt, we've been trying to get you on for a while. We've kind of like ships in the night. We've passed a few times, but finally kind of got you on here. Matt, I'm sure everybody knows just you, and I'm sure they know kind of Sourceflow. But for the kind of that 1% who have never kind of heard of you, who managed to listen to the podcast, can you give us a little bit about your kind of yourself, your background, and Sourceflow?
Yeah, of course. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here. So I'm the CEO of Sourceflow. It's my job to kind of make sure that Sourceflow wins. That's what I always tell people, like that we're in a winning position. I've spent the main part of my real adult life, I guess, and actually my childhood as well, in technology. Specifically, I guess what people would know me for maybe through this podcast would be in the recruitment marketing space, building technology in that arena. So more specifically than that, recruitment website technology is kind of where originally people would see me at shows, and I've kind of built a reputation. So it's one of the founding team for Volcanic, which we grew, I think, for a real success story, to a business that sold in 2019 to the Access Group. And kind of now evolved, I guess, took a bit of time and moved into running Sourceflow, which is a recruitment marketing platform. It encompasses things like websites, integrations, marketing analytics software, a bunch of other stuff that kind of exists within there as well. So yeah, that's my role. I'm fortunate enough to work with some awesome people. There's about 20 people or so now in Sourceflow. It's been a good growth story again. And yeah, I love this industry. Yeah, it's been my life. It's been what I've ate, slept, drank, loved for a number of years now.
Yeah, and I've wanted to have you on for a while because you're kind of like recruitment techie, right? You're the person to kind of go to in this. And actually, I invited you on because a couple of months ago, I was at a seminar and I saw you talk around kind of AI. Now, AI isn't something that we've actually tackled a huge amount on the podcast. I'll be honest, I've steered clear of it because everyone else has been talking about it for the last year, and I'm not sure what we could add to the conversation. But I was really impressed by kind of your presentation, and I know that Sourceflow has now kind of started to implement kind of some AI tech into the platform, and I thought that might be a good place to start, is to kind of tell us what you're kind of doing at Sourceflow to integrate kind of AI, and then we'll go on to a larger kind of discussion around AI in general across kind of recruitment. So yeah, take us through how you're kind of integrating it at Sourceflow.
Yeah, I think my view is that you've got to be, we're really, really early in the commercialized AI journey. This is really, really early in this. And I think, like anything new, there's this feeling that everybody has to jump on it straight away in any way they possibly can. What we've tried to do, and I think what we've achieved so far, is that we've not been really suckered into, it needs to be everything that we do in every part of what we do here. Really what we've tried to do is look at like a couple of core and key use cases that would make the lives of our customers better, right? We're really niche in where we look at, like, our ICP, our ideal customer profile, is marketers in recruitment. That's who we look at. So any of the products that we look at is we class it as like revenue generating software for people. So if we build this, will it help people make money? That's the big question that we kind of try and address. And that's helped us, I guess, when we've looked at like where we're going to implement AI. So as a marketer, and from a marketing perspective, one really simple application for it is to embed AI in content generation, right? So, you come to the platform, you create whatever it might be, an event or a news article or whatever you might want to put in the website. And there's an AI button where you can put a prompt in, and it could say, give me ideas around this. And then it will also generate a bunch of ideas. Now, marketers can use it however they want, right? I'm not here to tell people what they should and shouldn't do about generating content particularly. But our customers use it for either literally generating articles, right? Like that's up to them to do that. Or they'll use it for inspiration to then go and write another article. Like, what are the key things I could write about? And then they'll write their own info. That's great because it's a time saving. It's helping them market kind of maybe smarter in some cases. It's maybe speeding up their time to marketing that way. So that's been one of the core use cases. That was the first real foray, if you like, that we brought in. Second, more commercialized application that we've brought in is We call it the job description generator, but people are calling it like the Bullhorn AI job description generator. Probably could have come up with a better name for that, if we're being honest, but it does what it says on the tin. And this is a product that sits within Bullhorn CRM, and it pulls all the core data of a job title, description, location, those types of things. You add a few more fields in, the language you want it to be in, you add maybe some of the key information about the client, and it will then also generate a job description based around that. Again, I'm not one of these people that kind of sits there and says whether that's good or bad. To be fair, to be honest about it, because because that's not my job really to police the internet, as
So,
some people are
okay,
doing.
so I can't push you on that to get an opinion out of you whether you think it's a good. I'm almost sure what you would say, but surely you have a
My
feeling.
view
Yeah.
my view is this: the reason we built that again is back to use case. And we were approached by a number of, we tend to work with slightly larger recruitment agencies, and we were approached by a few of them that said, and the marketing team said, our biggest problem, or one of our biggest problems, is that the vast majority of jobs that we have as an agency that are given to us by clients, we do not promote online. Right? They're not promoted externally through job boards. They never see the light of day. They sit within the CRM system, maybe sit within the CRM system, but more likely a consultant gets the job. They have a bank of people that they want to put forward for it. It's very behind closed doors. Bunch of reasons behind that. One is they don't want the competitive nature of recruitment in a bigger agency to take effect, and somebody go, oh, I could place a candidate in that, and they kind of go through that process, which still exists. I worked in recruitment a long time ago. It existed then. That has not changed. So that's one. And the other one is just consultants are time poor. And what we've seen a lot is that job descriptions aren't being sent anymore like they used to be probably years ago from clients to consultants. So the consultant then is having to write job descriptions. I think I saw in this on this podcast, actually, it was consultants as marketers, like recruiters as marketers, was like a concept for a
Yep.
previous episode. And yeah, the kind of concept of that is tough because the creativity element is not one that they're very much known for from that side. So it was about 80% of jobs. It was a really high percentage when we surveyed our customer base. We're never seeing this. So our AI tool is helping those consultants that have writer's block or they don't really know what to write about to promote those jobs, which is then attracting the candidates. And it seems so obvious when you say it, but it will attract more candidates. It increases that talent pool and potentially opens up another 80% of jobs to see what to hit websites to drive traffic. People can argue all day with me about the quality of what AI job descriptions look like. You can edit them. It's not a fixed thing. There are people saying it's good and bad. My view, again, it's day one. We're really early. It will just get better and better and better. And I do think there'll be a point in the future where it will be better than the things that we would just naturally write now, right? Like that's what technology is very good at doing. So, yeah, they're the main use cases that we've brought in for it, and it's been positive. Yeah, it's been really good.
So that's kind of what the kind of thing that people will be doing on ChatGPT, right? It's it's copy based, right?
Yeah.
Um, but we know there's a lot of other kind of user cases for AI out there at the minute. From I came across something the other day which can take your webinar and create kind of clips from it, basically automate the whole kind of thing. Add the captions, add a transcript, but also just clip it up so you can do your audiograms and all those kind of things. Where do you? I mean, I know this is a bit Sourceflow focused, but is as a marketing platform, marketers don't just write stuff. We edit videos, we do audio, we do all the other stuff. There must be that must be the future, right? For where you're going to be using it for other formats and multiple formats.
Yeah, when I kind of look at tech in this industry in particular, like we've got a new website launching, and the website is very much focused around this. But there's different experiences that exists within this industry, right? There's the candidate experience, there's the client experience, there's a consultant experience, there is a creative experience, there is a marketing experience in what we do. There's the integrated, like the tech
Mm-hmm.
experience. They all exist within kind of what we do. Now, we might sell a product that touches on all of those, but actually each of those has its own granularity, levels of granularity that it works within. So when I look at AI, I think actually what is it going to do for each of those? So, for example, if I look at the candidate experience that we're all trying to improve, I might bring it in at the point of job application. Right now, I think it will not be very long um, before the video kind of conference inside of AI. And like I was talking at a conference actually, and I was talking about Red Dwarf, right? You know, both
Mhm.
fairly
I know very
big
much.
sci-fi, fairly big sci-fi fans. So Holly from Red Dwarf, you know, he talks to the ship's computer, and you know, I don't think we're a million miles away from that, right? There's already robots talking back to people and things like that, right? How long before everybody gets a video interview? And I mean everybody, you know, you apply for a job, everyone gets this video interview. It's a two-way conversational piece, it screens, and then it rejects or accepts at that point in time. I'm not going to talk about bias. Let's keep that out of the conversation for now. But if we just say that that's a thing that will exist, I think that will be a big part of the candidate experience to say, hey, before you apply for this job, we'd like to do approximately 5 minute video interview. That can be scaled infinitely, I guess. And, you know, server space is probably the only thing that's going to restrict that, but like that can be scaled to wherever we want to go. So I think that will be part of the candidate experience online and like the digital experience. Whether that becomes the recruiter as an online face or it's
Yeah.
the face of the recruiter. I don't know, maybe. I still think the human element is going to be the biggest part of any of this in recruitment. I don't think AI is going to overtake that, but yeah, I think that'll be it. And then it's those type of use cases I think that we'll see more and more as we go through. From a marketing perspective, I think any of the use cases have just got to be ones that make life easier, quicker, or more effective. I don't think we should be really looking at it in a way as taking the creativity, or you said yourself, like we research, we learn, we think, we are abstract as people naturally. That's what helped us come out of trees, probably, you know, at the start of our evolution. So I don't think we should be looking for it to replace marketers, or marketers should be looking for the quicker wins of that. But I think in ways to improve and enhance what we do, yeah, definitely, I think that's what we'll be looking to do.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, and that's not because I'm a marketeer, but and not wanting kind of Holly from Red Dwarf to outdo my skills. But I think there is you're right, that kind of abstract creativity is what kind of is going to make the difference. I think there's a certain amount of kind of looking at these as building efficiencies as well, right? You know, the ability is, I would imagine that most people who are listening to this have probably had a play around with ChatGPT or Bard or
Yeah,
one of those other ones, and kind of asked it to write them an article, write them a blog. And even in the past year, they've got significantly better at
yeah,
doing that, because just that kind of they're learning all the time, and just more the more stuff goes out there, the more they understand. What I would be kind of interested in is kind of you're right, you kind of got those different kinds of experiences. You mentioned the candidate experience with kind of video interviewing. I'm sure something already exists out there. I'm sure someone's going to message me once this is out and say, "Look, yeah, we already do that,"
yeah.
and they probably want to come on as a guest. Then, but what about on the other side? What about kind of client side? Because you know we're in I always kind of describe recruitment and recruitment marketing as one of the toughest jobs in the marketing because we've got so many
Yeah.
hats to roll. We're B2B, B2C, we're employer branders, we're all that kind of stuff. We're trying to do all that stuff for these businesses. What about the candidate side? What do you see kind of coming in from that side, from an AI perspective?
I think
Client
the
side, sorry.
client, yeah,
Client
the
side,
client side, yeah, I knew what you meant. Client side's probably more difficult, right? Because the experience is very, it's like multi-layered, like omni-channel, like client attraction and recruitment is the true omni-channel experience, right?
yeah. Mhm.
You are never going to write a blog, no, never say never, but you are highly unlikely to write a blog that somebody who's the HR director of a brand A reads and says, oh yeah, this is such a good blog, I'm definitely going to use the recruitment services of this company. It's very unlikely to do that. It's the culmination of a number of different touch points to come together. I think AI from that perspective will be the ability to kind of almost programmatically at pace understand every touch point that we've had with a client and then understand where the next best touch point is to contact to do the reach out. So I know there's a lot of like sales tools at the moment that do this.
Mm.
In our industry, we have Sourceflow, the Sales Loft, we have Gong. There's a lot of these kind of like sales automation process tools that exist out there. I'd imagine that either one of those or something we haven't seen yet will bring AI where it will say, you know, consultant met HR manager at this event. they
Mhm.
spoke about this. Okay, like store that in my memory. And then this happened, and then this. And we've also read that they are into this. So we could craft some really hyper personalized content around the Tour de France for this person and how we met. And actually then they clicked on this link. So the timing of this needs to be sent at this. I think AI from a client perspective will be probably more meta, like
Yeah.
a bit higher level, and it will look at the all of the touch points that exist, and it will then be the deliverable content and that killer delivery. I believe that's probably where it'll have more of an impact on that part of the industry.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think, and again, it probably things that I know from the work that we do. We want to be able to kind of capture a conversation that someone has at some point, if that's the first time you've ever kind of met someone, for instance, or if something has happened, an event has happened online, then you're basically just capturing all of this stuff, and it is building up a picture of this client. You might not even know who this client is at that point. You might just know abstract bits of data about them. You might have an IP address. You might have, an email. You might not have everything you kind of, but over time it's just building up this kind of picture, and
Yeah,
then the AI, the platform, is kind of then starting to reach out to try and find who this person might well be. Are they being talked about on LinkedIn? Are they talked about on Google Alerts or something? And then automatically just building out this picture and deciding when event or then an email needs to be sent or something needs to be done at some point. I think that is that, because this person is in, in an old B2B world, their lead score is hit a certain point, and so they kind of they're
yeah.
warm at that point, right? Yeah, but the ability to just kind of send out all those feelers and do that automatically, right? I think that would be, yeah, that would be cool. You can
I
have that
mean,
on.
look, yeah, I've just started building it. Got an AI assistant
Yeah,
that builds it. Look, I mean, look. Ultimately, marketing is getting in front of the right content in front of the right people at the right time. That's kind of how it works. If we strip it all back, like I didn't write that. That's a thing. Um, and the challenge that we all have as marketers is scalability, right? If we just had to focus on one company that we were trying to attract, we would go way above and beyond all of the work that we would ever do trying to attract 1,000 companies, and we would do something special, right? We would send them gifts or within rules and laws, but we would do very specific targeted campaigns. We'd send very personalized videos. We'd do this. The problem is that we're all being asked to do this at a mass scale, and there are so many potential buyers that we have to scale at. Humans can't scale their activity anywhere near as quickly as technology can scale its own activity. So it makes perfect sense then to let the heavy lifting and that intelligence and that kind of algorithmic logic be handled by an artificial intelligence engine that can start to make its own decisions, and already does make its own decisions, um, rather than we have to worry about that. And what we are there to do is craft who it's going to and the sentiment and what we're trying to achieve from it and the strategic direction for the AI tools, maybe the morality around the AI tools. We should own that, I think, without getting super deep in that. But we should have that kind of ownership, and that's where probably as marketers we'll have the best success.
So then there's one other kind of audience that we're kind of forgetting, is our own internal staff,
Mm,
and hiring our own staff. There was maybe not so much now, but last year everybody was scrambling around to try and get kind of hire, scale and hire themselves a recruiter. What's your opinion on where kind of AI potentially can help in that process? Not necessarily the hiring process, but retaining staff and benefits for, and that kind of almost that EVP kind of process, that everyone seems to be more kind of familiar with nowadays with as recruitment agencies.
yeah, I think first and foremost, I'll start with what we shouldn't be looking to do. Probably,
Yeah.
um, my business partner and I always talk about this. Do you know when I don't really watch The Apprentice, but if they all just started with what shouldn't we do, they'd probably win every week. Like, well, so that's the first thing I always say. What absolutely do we not want to do when we do this? Oh, well, we're trying to sell sandwiches, so let's not miss lunchtime, right? Like that's the thing we want to do, right? Like what I read about China's approach to AI when it really started in
Yeah.
kind of 2021. And their original use case for it was that they got people to go into this. They deleted a lot of information on this, but they got people to go into this like box, and it asked them questions about the CCCP, and then it gauged their response as like a loyalty factor
Mhm.
to the brand that is the CCCP, right? I think we have to be careful that we don't say, oh, we're going to use AI as a tool to see who really wants to work for our businesses, right? And I saw a video which I commented on LinkedIn about this recently, where it was looking at baristas in coffee shops and how many cups per minute that the baristas are able to move around. And it was like, and I looked at it, I was like, we've got all this incredible technology, so let's use it to fire people who can't make as many coffees as we want. Like, that's not where we want this to go. Trust me, we don't want to go down that route, because that's a very shaky path to go. In my view, a very shaky path.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
we don't want it to, we don't want to use it to do that. I think what we probably want to use it to do, though, is speed up access to data and analytics, speed up the information about the next candidate that we might be speaking to, or who the next best person to speak to is, speed up who the next best client to contact might be, really just enhance the ability for them to be successful relationship builders in businesses, right? The main skill that I see, and I saw this from one of Hisham's podcasts, like I saw snippets of it for one that's coming up. And the guest that I had on, she said, I'm really good at just talking. Like, I'm really good at that. And I look at all the best recruiters, they're really good at talking, right? They can sell themselves, but they can sell a situation. They can ask you, they'll find out who your favorite football team is. Like, they're really good at getting that kind of personal depth. I think if we can then arm the people that we've got in our businesses with very relevant information, maybe questions, the next best step kind of things to speak to, or who the next best person, I think what we're going to do is we're going to free up all of that rubbish admin time that no one in sales likes doing, and make it so that they're just really good relationship builders with their clients, to say, hey, we've actually spoke to these 5 people we think are really good for your business. Let me talk to you about all the main selling points that we think from each of them, and go through that at a much faster rate than maybe we'd be able to go to if we were trying to interview every single person for a job. Getting back into bias for a second,
Mhm.
if the AI tool is removing bias at the point of an application and is doing those interviews, actually the pool of people that we present to the clients at the end of the day might be a very different pool than we would have presented at the start of the day as well. So, I think for consultants, yeah, we could talk about how good it is to work at our own businesses, but I think if we just give them people the right tools and the right processes to make themselves more effective as a recruiter, that's a best way, and maximize the amount of money they can make, which is what we're here to do. That's probably the best way of keeping people in your business. So I think that will be a big use case for it.
Yeah, Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. Some great insight, some great things to kind of take away and think about. If anybody wants to know a bit more about you or Sourceflow, we'll include all your details on the show notes. I'm sure we'll have you back again at some point in the future. But for now, thank you very much.
No, pleasure. Thanks for having me, and look forward to continuing my listening experience of this podcast.